I think everybody knows about the existence of Arcane. It was the #1 TV show in 85 countries, surpassing Stranger Things and The Mandalorian. It received a whopping 100% on both of its seasons on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. It also received an average of 95% from the public. Arcane was viewed 34 million times in the first 6 days. It was a series talked about like the likes of Squid Game, but despite the immense popularity, it made $0, and it actually lost millions of dollars even with this type of popularity. For example, how did Squid Game make $900 million as Arcane only made half of its budget? Well, let's find out on how an incredible successful Netflix series was a financial failure. The beginning of Arcane started further back than we remembered. Christian Link, who is the writer of Arcane, but back then he was working as a composer for Riot. He began to collaborate with Fortiche Production, a French studio with a distinctive art style that blended 2D effects with 3D. It wasn't very common at the time for this art style, but they also helped for the making of Get Jinxed music video, which released in 2013. Let's just say it was a very big success, as the video now sits at a whopping 143 million views, plus this style was very welcomed by the community. It was their first time working together, and it wasn't their last, as Fortiche would also make multiple cinematics for League of Legends and also future music videos like Warriors by Imagine Dragon and multiple others. These projects created a good relationship between Fortiche and Riot, as Christian would propose the making of an entire TV series based around the universe of League of Legends. Before the proposal, they've already started the production of the series in 2015 and was eventually greenlit by Riot in 2019. Riot agreed upon the idea, as it would draw more eyes on League of Legends and it would also serve as marketing for their game. The first season of Arcane dropped the 6th of November 2021, and the second season dropped the 9th of November 2024. Arcane was the most expensive animated series ever produced, with a budget of $250 million. Riot invested a lot of money on the series to ensure that they give quality to their fans to keep them. Each employee had a budget of $250,000, which is more than 3 times the salary of an experienced artist. Riot also has a history of spending a lot of money on projects for this reason, because League of Legends is still popular, but the fanbase has stagnated and has existed more than 15 years. Netflix paid Riot $3 million per episode to air Arcane, but it wasn't enough to cover the whole $250 million invested by Riot. According to Bloomberg, the company didn't have a good plan to regain that money before the launching of the series. Unfortunately, that came with a huge cost, because Riot fired 11% of its employees to focus more about the gaming side of the business. The show also failed to convert views into players for League, as that was their original intent for the show, which greatly hurt their will to create other media outside the games. They've halted other projects due to its financial shortcomings, even if the series was very successful on Netflix and was #1 in 85 countries. To understand why it wasn't able to make a profit, we need to understand how Netflix pays its shows. When a production studio wants to create a show on Netflix, Netflix pays in a variety of ways. Firstly, Netflix helps fund a project as they invest a sum of money for their first episodes. Secondly, a studio can be paid by Netflix buying the licensing to show up on the platform. That's why shows can jump from streaming platform to other streaming platform. Thirdly, Netflix pays the movie studio by how it interacts or how many subscribers they've attracted by the show. For instance, if hypothetically the whole viewer base of Netflix is 100 million, if they see that 10% has increased to 15%, for example, that viewer base is watching Arcane, they'll get paid accordingly. There are other ways a movie studio can get paid, but these are the big ones. In short, Netflix pays depending on the ability to attract or retain subscribers, not by traditional revenue streams like box office or advertisements. This means that a show could be extremely popular but a financial failure, like Arcane, because the show can't keep up the audience for long or it didn't have as big an effect as it seems. It is hard to pinpoint what failed in the case of Arcane, but it's safe to assume that the funding per episode wasn't enough for the scope of the producers. The strange thing is that Arcane costs less per minute than most Disney animated movies, because Arcane had a total of 18 episodes with a budget of $250 million, marketing included, compared to an hour and 40 minutes with a budget of $200 million. But even with these discrepancies, Toy Story made more than $1 billion compared to Arcane, which didn't even regain the budget amount. But for better comparison, Black Clover is a very popular anime watched all around the globe. Had a budget of $140,000 per episode, and the series has 170 episodes total. So it had an all-around budget of almost $24 million and amassed almost $10 million only in a single month. Both are incredibly successful series, but one fell short and the other won big. Moreover, the 7th of January, Riot released a cinematic for a potential new TV series called Welcome to Noxus, which raised a lot of questions and intrigue in the community. The video went extremely viral with a whopping 175 million views in less than 2 months. This underlines the genuine intrigue for a new spin-off series. But the question remains, why Riot would release a new series if Arcane was a financial failure? A spokesperson from the company said that Arcane was a success when we look across all our internal measures. This could mean it had a positive effect on them. But is it enough to start a new Netflix series? Head of League Studio Andre Von Ron said on Reddit, to clear the air, "We've used a variety of different cinematic styles over the years, and we will continue to vary things in the future. In this particular case, given the follow onto some of the events in Arcane, we felt partnering with Fortiche in this style would make a lot more sense. Regarding the intent of the cinematic, our goal was to set up some themes for Noxus for the season and a plotline that will be continued this year in-game around game materials, not a TV show to be clear. This kind of seals the deal about the making of a new series, as it doesn't make sense to make another series when the last one came at a loss. But it is kind of strange to release a very series-like cinematic, the equivalent of the styles of Arcane, and also make references to Arcane and not tease something a little more.
Even for us.
Piltover was a lesson, Vladimir.
Plus, it released a couple months after the release of the second season of Arcane. However, the writer of Arcane, Christian Link, also talked about the cinematic on another perspective.
We're exploring a bunch of directions. When you work on something for 9 years, it's pretty normal and pretty expected that you're gonna have ideas for other stories. You know, there's many characters. Every League player, if you play the game for 14 years, 15 years, you're gonna have your phases where you fall in love with a certain champion, right? And for us, it's we can just look back and go oh, which one will be cool to get a story. So we're really going wide. We're looking at every region. We really, now have the ability to really focus on building a slate to tell many more stories, continue some of them. We're far from done. This is right now a really exciting time for everyone, for us, because we can finally really focus, on okay, what's next.
So it's still up in the air if there's any development of a new series. To finish off, the unfortunate mismanagement of the budget had led Riot to abandon the idea to make any other media outside their games in reason to their lack of profit from Arcane. Initially, Arcane was supposed to have 5 seasons, but with the immense spending of Riot, they decided to stop any further project on the matter. Arcane was a crazy popular show that everybody watched. They had the misconception that because it was popular, it meant that it was a very profitable show. It is very unfortunate that no series is in the works because it was a very unanimously loved series, and it also created a new style of animation that we'll probably see in other animated films. The very distinct painterly feel with roughness and the 2D effects mixed with 3D elements was very unique to Arcane, and people wanted to see more of it. They've reached a new fan base who is obsessed with the universe of Arcane and that is making a lot of fan edits and videos. Arcane stands on its own and is arguably a masterpiece on how everything is painted on top and the attention to detail. There is a lot of stuff that is worth to talk about, but it's sad to see that people lost their jobs to these financial shortcomings, and that this universe is promptly halted, but it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I hope you guys liked it. If you were informed by the making of Arcane, its financial situation, please leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.